Hello, and welcome to the Teaching Your Toddler Show. Today we have Marcy Keckler joining us from Ameriprise Financial. Marcy, I understand that your company recently did a survey called Couples, Money, and Retirement for about 1,500 couples, and that you have some findings you'd like to tell us about today.
Yes, we know, and I'm sure you and others can relate, there is an intersection between love and money. Any of us in a relationship know that. And so at Ameriprise, we wanted to understand more about that, in particular as people are planning for retirement, transitioning into it, and living in retirement. And so we wanted to understand how's that going for couples. So we talked to both members of the couple, and we learned a few things. First of all, great news that 95% of the couples we talk to trust each other on financial matters, and 93% have similar goals for retirement. So those are great strengths. But we also learned there are some areas where they don't agree. And 1 in 4 said they are not on the same page about how much they spend on children and grandchildren. And they are also about the same amount not on the same page about how much they plan to spend in retirement on hobbies and travel and things like that. So high level trust, high level goals on the same page, but some areas of disagreement that they really still have an opportunity to work through.
And so it sounds like a lot of that has to do with maybe what they're communicating about talking to each other.
Well, yes, and we know that there can be times when couples maybe avoid things that have some emotion attached to it. We learned that a little over half of the couples haven't yet completed their estate plan. And that is an important thing for everyone to do. We are all going to need an estate plan. And it's not just for people who have tremendous wealth. Everyone is going to need things like a will and a healthcare directive, healthcare power of attorney. If you get into a spot where you can't make healthcare decisions, who do you want to do that for you? And things like that are important parts of an estate plan. And half of couples still need to tackle that together. We also know that almost 40% of couples haven't yet made a detailed plan for how they will replace their paycheck once they are retired. They're still going to need money. Where's it going to come from? So they trust each other, and they also have some planning that they can do together to really reach agreement on all the important details.
Mm. And I know a lot of our listeners, maybe they're kind of young and they're far away from retirement, but it's never too early to talk about those things, right? Because the earlier you plan, the more you can plan for, right?
Right. And we also know when people are earlier in their financial journey together and maybe having a family that they're working to raise, it really is all about how you balance your needs and things you want to do today and the things you know are going to be important for the future. As a parent of two myself, I absolutely remember the stage of kids being younger. My kids are older now, and almost about to have the second one graduate from college. And when my kids were toddlers, it seemed that the day they'd go to college was so far away, and the opportunity to save for it seemed like something I had to trade off against the cost of daycare. And so those trade-offs and balances are things that I really encourage parents and families to think through your needs today, your needs in the future, and consider if a financial advisor might be able to help you feel confident that you're striking the right balance.
Yeah, gosh, I'm there too. I have one graduating as well, and it just goes by in a flash, right? And then
It
suddenly you're
does.
like, oh my goodness, I didn't plan. So, well, you talked about what couples are avoiding and what they agree on, disagree on. I hear you about the emotion. I for sure, like in my own marriage, whenever there's something emotional about, like you said, about children, spending, things like that. Were there other things that you learned from the survey that you could tell us about?
One of the things in this study that I thought was really interesting was that more than 70% of the couples we talked to had been together 2 decades or more. That is a long lasting relationship. And we asked those couples in particular, what advice do they have for others? And they had some great advice. The first was to make sure that they communicate openly, transparently about their financial situation and financial goals. The second is that they recommended that couples find ways to work through financial disagreements, reaching consensus where there are going to be differences. And then finally, they also recommend that couples choose a financial advisor together. And I think that is really important. As a certified financial planner myself, I know how important it is that both members of a couple feel comfortable with the financial professional who is helping them put together plans to achieve their goals and dreams, both near term and over the long term for themselves and their families.
It's probably also good to have that sort of third party, neutral third party who can talk through the things that they need to think about without them sort of having to initiate themselves. So having a financial planner is probably a really good thing for couples.
Absolutely, and I think you're really onto something that financial advisors work with lots of families and couples, and so even though in any relationship it might be the first time that that couple has faced a particular topic or challenge or has an area of disagreement, the financial advisor has likely worked through something similar with other couples. So they can not only help foster constructive conversation among members of couples, but they can also bring a wealth of experience to inform ways that couples can work through disagreements and find a road to consensus that everybody feels good about.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's no instruction manual for marriage, but we can leverage your knowledge for sure. Well, tell us where we can find out more information about you.
We have more information about the study findings, about Ameriprise, and really tips for couples that can help them at ameriprise.com/couples.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.